Hi, this is Kelsey Moser. I'm doing a video to compensate for the fact that we aren't having the LGD episode this week. Originally, we were going to have Rera, LGD's English language translator who was with the team during playoffs and who is going to be at the team at Worlds, be a guest on the episode, but there was a conflict and she was suddenly unable to attend at the last minute. So we are rescheduling hopefully for this coming week. And so during this episode, we'll probably cover the coach drama, the way LGD's infrastructure looks, a little bit of more personal details about the players. And by personal details, I don't mean like, oh, their deep dark secrets, but how they interact, things like that. This is obviously not an episode of China Talk. It's just me talking to a camera, and it's not going to be very long. It's going to be pretty brief. But for Edward Gaming and Invictus Gaming, prior to Worlds, we did this thing where how the Western teams in their groups can beat LGD, beat Edward Gaming and Invictus Gaming. So since we are not doing a special LGD episode yet, I decided to make a short video on that. How do the Western teams in Group D beat LGD? So let's start with Team Solo Mid. Obviously, Team Solo Mid is a team that's very mid lane centric. I don't think anyone really disputes that anymore. They give an increasing amount of gold to their bot lane. Outside of G4, the Bangkok Titans mid laner, Bjergsen has the highest percentage of team gold in the tournament. Actually, the second highest percentage of team gold earner in the tournament is Galway. So both teams tend to funnel a lot of resources into their mid laner. LGD have come out and said that they do choose to let Godway get a lot of the last hits on the kills. They know that he'll make a huge impact and have plays with the gold resources that he gets. Of course, LGD has a lot more threats on their team than just the mid lane, so it's across the board going to be a somewhat difficult matchup. And I actually do think these teams are all structured a little bit similarly in terms of jungle gets a little bit of extra gold, bot lane gets a little bit of extra gold, but it's mostly very mid-centric and very top lane denied. Acorn has a history of being much more self-sufficient in terms of being able to get a lead in lane or have an impact than Dyrus has been. But again, top lane pretty much just going to be a 1v1 island. It's going to be really hard for Dyrus to get an advantage there. Centauran isn't really known as a proactive jungler. I would not go for isolating LGD's top lane anyway as a weak point. Instead, I would actually probably ward around mid lane and bottom. Because I think one of the weaker aspects of LGD gaming is going to be their warding. And it's sometimes if you do get wards down, you can isolate PYL or TBQ in some of their roams, sometimes even Galway. Galway actually does a lot of the wording for mid laners for a mid laner. And this is based off of my own observations, so obviously there will be some error in this. But I think that in this case, this is something that you can abuse early on. LGD are a very early game focused team. And so usually they have a high win. If in winning games they have a high gold lead at 20 minutes, then losing games they have a very high gold deficit at 20 minutes. So early game is going to be pretty key. Also included in some of that is mid game. I think that's where LGD make most of their mistakes is the mid game. Sometimes from TBQ's engage sense, or he'll go in without the team. Something that I've heard from a little bit of the stuff is that the team prefers to play with TBQ, but Xiaoxi is a little bit of a better listener at times. So it's just that TBQ has the knowledge and the experience to sometimes make his own decisions, and it's not always necessarily in sync with the rest of the team. So that's something that you can abuse, is going after TBQ in isolation or looking to pick off PYL. Another recommendation might be just to straight TB2. I actually don't really like this recommendation. I think it's fine if you let PYL roam, but if you do allow them to lane swap, Imp is going to be spending a lot of the game free farming. So again, you want to, early game is very important, early mid game before Imp starts joining the team in the late game in those scenarios. Late game just really hard because Imp will farm up really beastly, Gaba usually gets a lot of kills by then, etc. So really strike early mid. It's difficult for TSM, who are bottom 2 in terms of gold lead at 20 minutes for all teams at the World Championship. And they tend to play very, very slowly. They may not contest some of these early dragons that LGD go for. LGD have a very early first dragon time. Their first dragon time is like half of TSMs. So it's an interesting matchup. Obviously, they're going to try to snowball Bjergsen ahead. The problem is that LGD will focus a lot of resources mid. If Godway is getting ganked, they will counter gank with usually 2 or 3 members. Sometimes it's Acorn, PYL, TBQ. Sometimes just PYL and TBQ. So I would look towards other lanes or maybe part of the jungle, even outside the lanes, to try to abuse them. Lesbo used to be known for roaming a lot, and this is kind of his shot at redemption here. Because of these weaknesses, Origen obviously has a better chance because I feel like their style is much more suited to do this. I think Mithy and Amazing have a very good synergy. So if there is a Western team that can kind of catch them out, that roams a lot, that does a lot of work in the jungle, it's going to be Origen. Obviously, XPK is just going to push out farm. It's important that they do wave clear champions because if Godway gets control of the lane and pushes out waves, he'll roam a lot more. So I would pick a wave clear mid against them. Globals are really good because they often roam as a group. So if a fight starts and there are 3 of them, you can use globals to get to them. Obviously, if you use Rek'Sai, Origen is also a team that uses a lot of globals. TBQ had a lot of luck in playoffs with Rek'Sai, but obviously his best champion is known as Lee Sin. My number one advice to any team looking to beat LGD is to ban Lee Sin because Lee Sin got buffed, and I feel like TBQ is 10 times the player with Lee Sin than he is on any other champion. In the past, he's also kind of been known for his Elise, but it's been secondary, and then Vi. These are some of the other picks, but TBQ's champion pool is something to obviously target, and if you don't ban Lee Sin, I feel like you're just kind of asking for a harder game because TBQ is a weakness you can abuse if he's on any other champion, and if you let him have Lee Sin, you just removed LGD's biggest weakness. But yeah, I guess the bottom line is it's okay if PYL and TBQ roam as long as you ward for them. The 2v2 is something you want to avoid because their support control from PYL is really strong and they usually get a lot of kills in 2v2s. I would avoid allowing Imp freeform for late game, so I'd want to act very fast, very early, force a lot of those early dragon fights, try to catch TBQ and PYL out in mid-game fights. Maybe it is a good idea to gank top because you want to neutralize some of the TP threat, ban Lee Sin, and bring globals. It's great. It counteracts their group roams if you are able to add extra players to groups, and also Rek'Sai is a big global jungler, and that's one of the champions in TBQ's very shallow pool. So those are my recommendations.